Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mac and Talk for Tuesday, November 28th. Actually, this is Mac and Talk number 53 for Tuesday, November 28th, 2023. I hope everyone had a fabulous Thanksgiving. I am Chanelle, your host, and today we are here for this Q&A conference call on the Mac, whether you are just getting started out and you need some help learning VoiceOver, or you're a longtime Mac user with some questions about an app or feature, or maybe you're not even sure if the Mac is the right device for you. You have some questions and you just want to get some honest feedback about what to expect, what to look for. This is definitely the call for you. Before we get on to your questions tonight, though, I would like to make you aware of a few announcements and things at iBug. We have over 20 events a month, and I'm only going to talk about things this week. So, the best way to keep up to date with it all is our website and social media. On the web, we can be found at www.ibugtoday.org. There you can register to become a member. Registration is free. Participating in any and all of our events is free. You will also find info about us, who we are, what we do. You will find the Mac and Talk link. On that page, you will find my email address and information that you need to get subscribed to the Mac and Talk email discussion list. If you have a question about the Mac in between any of these calls or wish to share any relevant articles or things that have helped you. Also on our page, you will find a calendar with current events. Moving on to social media, we are on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/ibugtoday. And that is a more interactive group. In addition to having our announcements, all of our social media has our announcements posted, but you can ask questions and exchange info in the group as well. On X and Instagram, we are at iBugToday. X is also a great source for the many how-to guides that Herbie posts about the Mac, also the latest news and rumors with Apple and lots of tech deals. So check that out even if you don't have an X account. You can go to that X website and look under iBug Today. And we are on YouTube. If you search for the iBug Today channel, you will find all of our programs, all of our workshops up there. You'll find some things are divided into playlists, such as the iBug Mac training course. We're just finishing a class now, but one of the most recent classes is up there on YouTube. And you can find us in any of your podcast app or smart speaker of choice. Just ask or look for iBug Buzz, iBug Mac and Talk, iBug Cafe, or iBug Apple Workshop. As far as things going on this week, we're winding down the month, so be sure definitely to go to our website next week and look at the current events calendar. But this week on Thursday, we have It's iBug's Life from 7 to 9 p.m. Central. All these are central, and they take place on the same iBug Today Zoom that you are on now. And the topic is chestnuts roasting. This is led by advanced facilitator George Batiste. And it's about Christmas and holiday cooking, recipes, tips, preparing for the holidays, I guess. So come on in and check that out. Also, on Friday, we have iBug Night at the Virtual Movies. We are watching a movie called National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. And that takes place at 8. But if you want some free frivolity and festivities, come at 7:15 for all that, the movie trivia and just some lively chatter. After the movie, we have a discussion. Next Monday from 7 to 9 p.m., we're back here for iBug Buzz. So pretty much that covers everything we don't talk about here. Here we just talk about the Mac. At iBug Buzz, we talk about everything else, Apple devices and accessories, and the iOS. And like I said, stay tuned to our website and email. If you register to become an iBug Today member, you will begin receiving emails when we have events. So that's the best way to keep up to date with us. So right now we are going to go around and please introduce yourself, where you're calling from, and if you are joining us for the first time. I am Chanelle in Houston.
Herbie in Houston.
This is Patrick in Connecticut.
Welcome, Patrick. Nice to have you back.
Thanks.
This is Pete in Florida. Chanelle, did you forget the iBug Unplugged on Saturday?
Oh dear, I did. I didn't know about it.
Yeah, it
Okay,
just
yeah.
came out. The email just came out.
Oh, okay. Well, do you want to tell us about it briefly, and I'll let you remind us
Yeah,
at
it's
the
a
end.
iBug Unplugged is a relaxed and casual social event, not a training event. Runs from 8 until 10 p.m. Central on Saturday night, this coming Saturday. And it's hosted by Vincent Ilorsa, I think his name is. I
Dolores,
think Delorsa.
Okay.
And the subject is, what is it, Brad?
something to do
Um,
with
these magic moments.
magic memories, something like that.
Ah,
Magic moments, magic memories. Yeah.
Some,
So should be
yeah.
lots of fun. They're very relaxed.
awesome. That
Anyway,
sounds
I'm
great.
Pete from Florida. Thank you. Sorry to
Thanks,
interrupt.
Pete. I
This is
appreciate it.
this is Brad. I'm in Dallas.
Hi, Brad.
This is Raul from McAllen, RUV.
From where?
McAllen, Texas, RUV.
Okay, welcome, Raul.
Yep.
This is Charlene in
Tammy,
Utah.
Welcome, Charlene.
Tammy
This is
from
Desi in
Connecticut,
Tennessee.
and Desi.
Welcome, Tammy, and welcome, Desi.
Joe, Moscow.
Joe, welcome.
Judy, Colorado Springs.
Judy, welcome.
Judy in Connecticut.
Welcome, Judy.
We got three
Dan from Southern
Connecticut.
California.
Dan, welcome.
It's me, Priscilla from Arlington, the Queen.
Priscilla. All right, great.
Ryan
Ariel
from
Literal,
Ontario.
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay, I heard Ryan and I heard Mary Ellen. Welcome to both of you.
It's Brian.
Or Brian, I'm sorry. Okay. Well, welcome. Sorry.
Jeffrey in Oklahoma.
Welcome, Jeffrey.
Ray from Maine.
Welcome, Ray.
Sri from Virginia.
Oh, welcome, Shri. All right. Well, it's great. We have a lot of you joining us tonight. Who would like to get started with a question?
This is Patrick.
Yes, Patrick.
Well, Mac and Talk doesn't have this, I don't think, in your talks here. It's the I feel silly portion. Well, my
There's
issue.
that all the time. Go ahead.
Well, my issue has been resolved. Brad helped me this morning, but I went to use my Mac today and I started keyboarding and it was just clicking away. I never heard this sound. I never knew if you press your cap locks accidentally, it'll do that. So just in case somebody else discovers that that's what that noise is, you have to turn the cap locks off. I didn't
Yeah, that's a
know
good
what that
reminder.
noise
Thank
was.
you. Yeah,
I
I'm
thought
sure
it
it
was
would be.
something from Sonoma or something like an update. It was weird.
I'm sure that would be startling. Yeah, well, it's good to learn about it, and don't ever feel silly because I know I can't remember anything recently, but I know all the time I'm like, oh yeah, so that's okay. Those aha moments are good. Thanks, Patrick. Would
This is
anyone else?
Sri.
Yes, Shri?
So I've got this follow up on the caps lock issue. So I upgraded my Studio and my MacBook Pro to the latest version of Sonoma, and I noticed that the caps lock as my modifier key wasn't working on a keyboard that has the Touch ID. But as soon as I swap it to a keyboard that doesn't have the caps lock work,
A keyboard that doesn't have the Touch ID, the caps lock worked, you said.
yeah. So
Interesting.
I took the same, my Touch ID keyboard to my MacBook Pro, which is Intel, worked without a problem using caps lock. But I bring that keyboard back into my Mac Studio, caps lock as a modifier key won't work. So what I'm really trying to figure out is, do I have a bad keyboard? Do I have a bad Mac? Or is this a problem with Sonoma with a Touch ID keyboard?
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
My money says it's a Sonoma issue on the on your studio. I mean, the other one's Intel, and the caps lock, the Touch ID will not work anyway on an Intel Mac. On the, I mean, your Mac may have a Touch ID in its internal keyboard, but the external Apple Magic Bluetooth keyboard with Touch ID will not work unless it's an Apple Silicon Mac. So there's something going on with Sonoma because it worked just fine. You had that studio on Ventura, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it worked fine. There's nothing wrong with the keyboard. It's something in Sonoma. Either
And
that or it's
just
nature telling you that you should not use a caps lock as your VO modifier, one or the other.
just to oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sri.
Now, I will say that I did take the Touch ID keyboard and plugged it into my MacBook Pro. Everything worked except the Touch ID feature. Like I could use the keyboard.
Yes, because it won't. And when you're plugged in with the wire, it's still Bluetooth. It's just charging. That's all.
So are you saying the keyboard won't work or will work? Because it worked.
The Touch ID sensor
won't work.
Will not work.
Yes.
On a Mac that is not Apple Silicon. On the Magic, the Bluetooth Magic keyboard.
All right, and Shri, just to double check, I mean, it should be set to both, but did you make sure on the Mac Studio that your voiceover modifier is still set to use both caps lock and control and option, or just, I mean...
Yeah, I tried all three options. I tried just
okay.
Everything worked. Even if I selected caps lock and the control option aspect will work, but if I use caps lock, it won't work.
That's weird. Okay. All right. Has anyone else experienced this bug at all with, I guess it's a very unique, that unique Touch ID keyboard with I wonder if a Touch ID keyboard in general behaves that way with all M1 Mac models. I expect it
This is
might.
Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
I will say, I think they really need to fix. There's a problem with the caps lock in general because I still have. It's not as bad as it was in the first release, but caps lock still popping up and interfering with voiceover commands, and so they really need to. I think there's some things they need to fix regarding this whole caps lock thing.
This is Shri.
Yeah, go ahead, Shri.
I would just ask, if anyone in the audience has a Mac that's running the M with a Touch ID keyboard, if they're having the same problem. That would just confirm, what Brad was saying about it being Sonoma. And I think it's Sonoma too. I'm pretty much ruled out it's a keyboard issue. But
this is Patrick. Oh, sorry.
No, that was it.
Okay, I think I heard Mary Ellen too, but go ahead,
okay.
Pat. Well, go ahead, Mary Ellen, and then.
Oh, well, I was just going to observe that and I've got probably the oldest keyboard in the world here. I've got one of the original plug-in keyboards connected to my studio, and whenever I use the caps lock, it makes the noise like when you used to get notifications and it would stop everything and want to read whatever this message is, and then it would say turn caps lock off. And I mean, there's no
That's
Touch
a Sonoma
ID
issue.
about my keyboard.
Right.
Anything about it. It's as plain as anything. And I mean, it's got the numpad, but it's just weird.
That is definitely a Sonoma issue.
Yeah, well.
Several of us. And Patrick, go ahead.
Well, I have my MacBook Air M1 with the Touch ID. I don't have a problem with the cap locks.
Okay.
If that helps Shri at all, I don't know.
This is Shri. Is that an external keyboard or the Touch ID on the computer?
Oh, it's on the computer, yeah.
Yeah, this is different. This is on the
sorry.
external Touch ID keyboard.
Can you say it again?
Sorry.
Right. Well, let us know. Keep us informed on that if it gets resolved. And who has our next question? Just remember, if you are not talking, please kindly stay muted. Who would like to ask our next question?
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
Did Mary Ellen just say that when she uses the caps lock, she hears a little sound? What was she saying happens?
Yeah, I think so.
Because I'm on a M1 MacBook Pro, 2020, the first episode, and I just changed so I could use either. And when I use the caps lock, when I do VO left arrow, not right arrow.
No, it's the caps lock, and it makes this noise like, you know how you're reading something and all of a sudden the system decides it's going to read you a message and it goes, did it?
And it's probably telling you turn caps lock off. That's probably what it's telling you. Yeah, that's a normal Sonoma oddity right now.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I'm
Herbie.
hearing a little sound as I VO.
No,
when I went into
this is a bug
search
that we've been dealing
field.
with Sonoma, and it's just frustrating.
When I went into the search field in the Zoom participant pack, it makes a little sound.
Yeah, I know it's going
but it doesn't
to do that.
It when I VO right arrow into the search field. Interesting.
We're not arrowing, Brett. I'm just typing some. If I want to say.
Yeah, but what we're trying to say is it's a bug right now.
Herbie goes. We're going to announce our names.
All right,
so Herbie,
I think so. Just first of all, my advice is we might want to drop this, but I think that. But this is what I was alluding to earlier. This is a Sonoma bug. Yeah. It's not as persistent as it used to be, where at least you can still do stuff, but. It is a bug, and I will gladly spend 15 minutes talking about my frustrations with the Apple accessibility and how to report stuff to them, because that is a mystery in itself to me. But because I actually did complain about this issue, it was so crippling at first, actually, and but it is a bug, and what we need to let Apple accessibility know that you are experiencing this, because those of us that use caps lock up as our VO modifier, we suffer greatly. And so yeah.
Thank you. And let's go ahead and move on. Who has our next question?
Oh, wait, just Brad, before we move on, the reason I brought it up was I'm not using a Magic Bluetooth keyboard, and
well, this is
it's not just the Magic Bluetooth keyboard.
No, it is not.
It's Sonoma.
It is indeed. Yes, a Sonoma bug, annoyance, whatever. All right, who has our next question?
Well, this is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
All right, so I've got several interesting questions here, but I will deal with one. So reformatted my Mac last Wednesday.
You mean I did?
Yes. So I don't know if it's something you did differently that I did with your older Mac when I set it up as a new Mac or whatever. Some things have not synced over, even though iCloud is turned on. Two things. One, I really don't care as much about, like my desktop aliases. They do not show up on the new Mac, but I definitely see them on my old Mac.
Did you go into the iCloud under System Settings and go to iCloud Drive and then Desktop and Documents?
I'll double check that one, but I don't think that's going to solve my other problem.
Yes. Okay.
This is Brad.
Go ahead, Brad.
I found that desktop aliases are unique to an individual Mac. I have tried even copying them from one Mac to another by putting them in iCloud Drive. And then, I created one. I have a folder in iCloud Drive, and I created a desktop alias so that I can access that folder. I made a copy of the alias, put it in iCloud Drive so that I could grab it on the other Mac and put it on that desktop. And even though I can put the alias on the desktop, it does not work. So it makes me wonder if there's something about it why when it's on your desktop and you have your desktop synced, I assume that's what you're talking about. Yep. Your desktop and document synced, it doesn't show up on another Mac.
No.
There's
But the other
something
thing
about
that
them.
does not show up consistently, and this is a little bit more frustrating, so because I use messages a lot on my Mac, and I noticed that not all of my contacts are syncing, and I am trying to figure out what the relationship between all contacts versus iCloud contacts versus because it's kind of a little bit interesting, and I was wondering if anybody like I've tried turning off and on this cloud sync, for in iCloud for
This is Sri.
contacts. Yep.
So
Go
just
ahead,
a
Sherry.
curiosity question. And the reason I'm asking is my wife is having the same kind of issue. Did you do you have any other contacts that did not come from, let's say, from different mail accounts that you don't no longer have?
That was my first thought, and so one of the first
Yeah.
things I did was I added in all the mail accounts that would have contacts,
Did you
and
have any like work?
but most of my contacts are set to my default Gmail or iCloud anyway.
Um,
And it's like ones that I've added on the phone seem to like those seem to follow me everywhere, but it's like ones that I've may have added like using my older Mac don't seem to follow me for some reason.
This is Brad.
Yep.
I know you mentioned the phone. I know on the phone there's a setting to when you create a new contact, what account does it go to by default? And I assume you have it set to go to iCloud contacts.
Yes.
And I was wondering about some of these other contacts. Are you sure they're iCloud contacts, not, for example, Gmail? I have some contacts that are
Yeah, that's
still in Gmail left over from before I started using a Mac more than 10 years ago. Um,
That was definitely one of my first thoughts actually.
have you, this is Brad, have you gone to internet accounts,
Yes.
gone to each one of your accounts and made sure that in that account there are check boxes
Yes.
for things in that account you want to be turned on an individual
Yep.
machine and made sure that contacts is checked?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Nope. I definitely thought of that.
I figured you had,
I
but
see we have a raised hand. We don't do raised hands here. I know it's gotten to be a madhouse though, so we just try to say our name and then wait to be acknowledged. And so, Jane, if you wanted to contribute on this topic, feel free to say your name and let me know. Otherwise, oh,
No,
okay.
it's to do with thank God I don't have issues with contacts, but I shouldn't say that now. Never know.
I will say I was hoping there's an easier way. Like my solution has been, at least on the contacts app on my other Mac, is to copy contacts that are in all iCloud, like in all contacts, and then just move them to iCloud contacts, and then they'll show up here. But so far, that's been the best solution I've come up with. But
I don't know. I've got the mail issue though. Sometimes I guess with Sonoma, I don't know. Mail if I go into like a subscription, a message, I don't know what it is, but it gets stuck in the messages or the message pane to the right, and then voiceover stops talking for like 30 seconds, and then I have to turn it off,
Okay.
turn it back
Let's
on.
make sure before we get to that, was there any other feedback on Herbie's question?
This is Sri.
Yes, Shri.
So Herbie, did you ever have any exchange accounts set up?
yes,
Ed, do you know if those numbers ever ported over?
I don't think I ever added anybody into specifically that account for contacts.
Because that was my guess with my wife, because she had some accounts that was in exchange,
Right.
and it didn't look like those numbers ported over. And I'm not sure
Interesting
why.
thought.
this is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
Because Exchange account contacts are not ever on your Mac. They're always on the Exchange server. Exchange is different. So you've got to make sure that you are set up in your internet accounts on each machine to show anything that's in Exchange. And a lot of times, if it's a work environment, those things are not able to. They're like, well, they're on the Exchange server. Exchange is it's a weird animal. But it's just different. So, and you might have to talk to the IT people at your employer to find out if there's something you need to do to access them on a non, um, employer's domain machine.
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri.
So here's the issue that I'm saying, because I have a Hotmail account.
Mm-hmm.
Originally, when I got a Hotmail account, it was set up as a Hotmail. Then Microsoft went into my Hotmail, actually became an Exchange account. And then it became an Outlook account. So when it became an Exchange account is when I had issues, because you're right, because it's nowadays it's considered it's an Exchange server on a business level. But before, my Hotmail was actually on an Exchange account with Microsoft.
That's different. This is Brad. I thought maybe you were talking about an Exchange account from your wife's employer. That's a little different. I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, because she has a Hotmail account too, and I'm trying to figure out why some of these numbers are missing.
I don't know.
So that was just my guess.
I would go into internet accounts, toggle contacts off and back on, or turn the whole account off and then back on.
I have a follow-up question for Herbie. Are you, in the contacts, it'll show all iCloud and then just iCloud. Are you on the all iCloud category when you're looking at all your contacts?
Yes.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. I thought maybe because, I don't know why they have so many different lists, but
yeah, I agree.
If you just try to keep everything, I mean, there was a time where I used Gmail contacts, but it's just far easier to do all your contacts in iCloud. It just makes, but hopefully turning on those accounts and turning them back off again works. Otherwise, let us know. And I think it is time to move on, but definitely let us know what happens with that. All right, so Jane's question is about getting email from some lists that she subscribed to, I think, and then the email freeze or voiceover freezing for a while when you go into that message pane. So in my class, at least, I've always recommended for people to get rid of that message pane to the right of the mailboxes list. But in general, I mean, has anybody else experienced that where your email freezes? And if I'm not stating your question correctly, Jane, then feel free to elaborate.
That's Brad.
Yes, Brad?
I never turn the message pane off on either Mac, and I've never had a problem with it.
Okay.
If you're having and I have 3 mail accounts, although I really only use one, I find that sometimes what helps is to go to the main menu under the mailboxes menu and toggle all mailboxes off and then toggle them back on. And that allows them to refresh.
You mean the mailbox list? Or
in the menu bar?
Mm-hmm.
There is a item called mailboxes.
Yeah.
And at the very top, it's take all accounts offline.
Yes.
And then another, it's take all accounts online. Toggle them off, give it a minute or so, and toggle them back on. And that allows them to refresh.
Okay. How do you turn off the message
Okay,
pain.
so I've mentioned that I turn it off so that my messages are not automatically marked as read when I arrow past them. I would refer you back to the class that we did at the beginning of this month, but basically you go to in the vertical or the scroll bar to the right of the right of your messages list, and you want to collapse that. And by collapsing it, that actually means taking it to 100%. For some reason, that collapses it.
This is Brad. Isn't that called a preview pane?
Whatever it is,
You
preview
said
pane.
message. You said message
That's
list.
the preview.
I said to the
I'm
right
thinking
of the
mailbox
message.
list. Yes, I'm sorry. I was thinking mailbox list. My bad. But you're right. I collapsed that all the way too.
Yeah, I that is
Because
always
I don't like that.
collapsed.
You're right.
No.
Exactly. It shows them as red, even if you just are arrowing
Yeah.
up and down your message list. Yes.
That's one of the first things I have people do is collapse that darn thing.
Sighted people like that thing.
Yes, they do.
This
The
is Shree.
disadvantage is, of course, you can't do VOJ, but it's easier, I think, to do enter on to open each message, Command W to close. Okay, go ahead, Shree.
Just out of curiosity, she mentioned that VoiceOver was not responsive. Is it a good thing to reboot when you encounter that?
Well,
I would restart VoiceOver first.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what I've been
Brad.
doing, and it seems to be okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Sometimes I toggle it off and then on, but I really haven't had a problem with VoiceOver in the Mail app in a long time, but maybe that's because both of my machines are Apple Silicon nowadays.
No, I don't think I always have a problem where sometimes I'll close I'll have already closed a message, and so then I accidentally close the the main mailbox window, and so I have to do like Command 0 or whatever to get it back
Command
again.
1 take
Or
you back
Command
to your
1.
inbox. Yeah, same
Command
thing.
1 to go back to your inbox. Yeah, I do that sometimes, but apart from that, mine seems to work great. Has anyone else experienced problems with mail? No? Okay.
This is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
I won't go into details, but if you're setting up third-party accounts, mail service, outgoing server settings can really make things interesting. And let's just say I had some fun. I got it all sorted out, but it was using like the wrong server and this and that. And one reason why it's good to be very versed in the internet accounts is, mail. Setting up stuff in mail is I've noticed that there's some stuff you can more easily fix in the mail app than in actual internet accounts, and yeah. But
well, tonight's Mac Bite, we have iBug Bites and the other call, so we can call these Mac Bites. Was just going to be on a very basic sending an email message, and we'll still do that. But yeah, being versed in how to set up accounts and stuff is particularly, I think Herbie is referring, he has accounts. Most mail accounts you'll be able to set up no problem because mail has the correct server info. It's just when you're using private things, private mail servers, or for example, Herbie's station email, 986themix.com or mcbvi.org. Those can be a little bit more problematic.
Just the mix.
Oh, just the mix. Okay. Well, there you go.
is a forwarder, so.
Okay. All
this
right.
Is Shree.
Yes, Shree.
Is there any reason why the send would be dimmed if you don't have something in the subject line?
Yes. To make it Oh, what, Brad?
Could you repeat that question?
So sometimes when I don't have anything in the subject line is empty, the send button is dimmed.
Don't have anything in what? The send in the
subject line.
Oh.
And the subject line is blank, empty.
To get around that, I just put a space bar. I just hit,
okay.
and then you can, yeah, like if you're.
But when you try to send it, don't you get an alert that says, "Hey, dude, the subject line is blank"? Isn't that what you just said?
No, I'm getting it where it says dimmed.
So you're not doing Command Shift D to send. You're going and finding the send button in the toolbar.
No.
Okay.
Never do that. Okay.
I'm just kind of curious why it's, why they forcing you to put something in the subject line.
They do that on the iPhone too.
Yeah, but if you do this is Brad. If you do
you
Command Shift D,
iPhone,
you'll get an alert, and it asks you, and you can say send anyway.
That is correct. That's why sometimes I do get that message.
I don't get that on the Mac. I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Pete.
I don't seem to get. I get that on the phone when there's no subject line, but I don't seem to get that message when I'm doing Control Shift D, Command Shift D on the Mac. Of course, I don't remember trying to send one without a subject line.
Try it.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you write to email lists, at least, like you want to subscribe to something, and you subscribe by putting this, let's say the classical music place plus sign subscribe at groups.io, and that all goes in the message in the to field, and the other fields are left blank. Well, sometimes, your phone or whatever doesn't let you send it,
Phone doesn't like it.
It doesn't like it. So.
This is Brad. Phone also won't let you change the subject line on a reply either.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Try it. It won't let you do it.
You can do that on the Mac, no problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You can do it on a forward from the phone, but not on a reply or reply
interesting.
all.
So now we're talking about, everyone, areas where you might find it easier to use your Mac versus your phone. We sometimes encounter those where sometimes one device is easier than the other. All right.
This is Jane again.
Yes, Jane.
I have to go soon, but ever since, I don't know when this started, but when I fill out a form online, at least with the phone, and now it seems with the Mac, it says the word description before each form field, and I asked one of, I don't know, many web developers, and they said something about it's a setting that I have to change in some voice over utility or somewhere. It's to do with the ARIA markup, but I have a little bit confused.
Yeah, the description is a field that they should be filling in. It's what describes the prompt that, or that describes the label or describes the field that you're filling in, but it shouldn't actually tell you description : it should just read the description. That is weird.
This is Brad. Is this in Safari?
Yeah, it's I don't know, this happens once in a while. I guess I have to go to the web category in voice over utility to change.
Well, in verbosity, in the voiceover utility, in verbosity, and then you can go to like custom. But I don't know. You can choose on which items things, if the description is spoken, but you shouldn't have to do any of that. That's a problem with how the form is coded, I would think.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, that I don't know. This version's interesting. That's all I've got to say.
Yeah.
All right.
Does it do that on a lot of websites or just particular?
Once in a while. I can't tell you when.
Then if it's not happening, it's probably coder error, their error in whatever they're doing.
This is Sri.
Yes, Sri.
It sounds like the coder doesn't want to admit that he's got a problem with the way he coded.
Yeah. All right. Well, um, we can, yeah, that's tricky. All right. Who would like to ask our next question?
Joe,
Yes, Joe.
someone mentioned there's a Touch ID on an M1 MacBook Air.
Yeah, so we were talking specifically about the Apple Magic Keyboard, but many of the new Macs have the Touch ID sensor built in. It's at the right-hand side of kind of it's the same as the power button where you turn it on.
Oh,
Brad,
mine
it's
doesn't have that.
like where
Okay.
F13 would be. You may not,
Yeah.
you may have an older one.
Okay, yeah, I think it's a 2020.
You should have it.
You should have it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Go to the far right of the F key row, and you should feel it's a 2020.
Yes, at least they said that's what they said it was.
Yeah. Well, you can find out by going to the menu bar, the Apple menu to About This Mac, and it will tell you what it is.
Okay.
But if you feel the newer ones, it's a little round thing. On the older ones, and I don't know when it changed on the MacBook Air, probably 2018. I don't know. Maybe not till 2020. It may be not as distinct because it's not around when it's the whole key, but it's in the middle of the key. But you should have one.
And it's right next to the power button.
It is the power button.
Oh, it is the power button.
It's where F13 would be if you had an F13 key.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look into that. Thank you.
This is Sri.
Yes, Sri.
Did when the M came out, did they all come with the fingerprint?
Yes.
Okay.
I've had them ever since 2016 when the MacBook Pros got a touch bar. And I'm not sure how soon after that it went to the Mac Air, but soon after.
Is Mary Ellen on my
Yes, Mary Ellen.
2018 MacBook Pro with the Intel processor? I have a Touch ID. I can't remember where it is because I never use it. And it's a touch bar thing, so it's on there.
Yes, it's to the right of the touch bar. But I'm not sure. He's talking about a MacBook Air.
This is Jane.
Yes, Jane.
So I also have the M1 MacBook Air 2020. It's sort of a square power button with like a rounded ish it's the power button. Just if you are in somewhere where you need the Touch ID, just put your finger on it, and set up your fingerprint first under the where is it now? Under Sonoma.
It's in system settings under Touch ID.
Touch ID.
And passcode or something. Yeah.
Something like that. And yeah, it should log you in after you set all that up. But it's a squared off power button to the top far right hand side.
Yep.
Great. Thank you.
Good luck finding that, Joe, and let us know.
Look that up.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for helping out with that. So I thought, and it's good we've had a bit of conversation about this, I thought we would do a little bit of a demo on mail and talk about how we send a new message. And we've covered this in class. It'll be a bit of a review, but a nice little short demo. So first thing we can do is open mail. I like to open mine from the dock. That's pretty easy way. If you for some reason have keyboard commander enabled, which is VO Shift K, then after that you can press right option M, but I just like to go VO D,
Messages, 2 new items.
MA,
Mail, 4 of 32.
and that gets me to my mail app. I think messages was before mail, so I had to type in MA rather than just the letter M. Then I can press the return key.
Loop back. Mail, inbox, Chanelle 78 messages, 5 unread.
And we don't need to hear all that. What we want to do is compose a new message. And my class should, if Command N is not ringing like a knell through their heads, then no. Or like the Christmas bells. Anyway, Command N will start to compose a new message in TextEdit and Word and Pages. It's a new document. Even in your Messages app, you can compose a new message. So Command N.
New message, window, 2, edit text.
And the way we do things here is we start typing the first few letters of someone's name, followed by the return key to enter it in. So I'm going to put 2 people in. I'm just going to put to Herbie and myself. So Herbie, capital H,
By Alan Herbie, Allen at gmail.com. Text selected.
Now, if I didn't want that, I could down arrow and find another address for him. But I do want that. That's the choice. So I'm going to press the return key or enter.
Selection replaced. Embedded.
Now I'll put in myself. So capital C.
Embedded. Chanelle Marie Allen Chanellum Allen at
what if I want to find something? That's not the email address I want, so I can down arrow.
Chanelle Allen Mac Training. Chanelle Marie Allen C.
I passed it.
Chanelle Allen Mac Training. Today.
There we go.
Gmail.com. Completion
and so
selected.
If that's the one I want, I can just press return.
Selection replaced. Embedded. Chanelle.
Now we can either tab or VO arrow. Here it doesn't really matter. Most places I recommend people do VO arrow, but here you can use tab.
To add contacts button.
There's an add contacts button, which is it's far easier just to type in somebody's name and your Mac will choose from either your previous list of recipients or from your contacts. Let's tab.
CC, edit text.
I have the CC field showing. You can choose which fields are showing in a message by going into the View menu.
CC, add contacts button. BCC, edit text.
Oh, wow, I have everything showing. Oops. Oh, well.
BCC, add contacts
So I'm just going to keep pressing tab.
Subject, edit text.
And we're just going to actually, we're going to not put anything in the subject just to kind of test out our little question we were talking about earlier. So let's tab.
Chanelle Allen Chanellum Allen at gmail.
Here I can choose the email that I want to send this from. And now I press tab and we don't get any feedback, but we are in our message body. So I'll just say, hello,
period, new line.
This is a practice email where I am hoping to
make
a few
errors, period.
And, well, actually, so if you want to use spell check, that is a feature you can use anytime on your Mac. You can press Command semicolon. And that will get you through your email one error at a time. So if we did Command up arrow, and then we do Command semicolon.
Practice selected.
Oh, well, it sounds right. So how can we see how a word is spelled with voiceover? VOWW.
PRACTISE.
Oh, I spelled it the British way. I did that on purpose. Okay, so when you want to know your list of suggestions, VO Shift M.
Menu.
And down arrow.
Practice.
And let's see what this one is. So again, we can do VOWW to have the current word read.
Practice. PRACTICE.
And that sounds good. So I'll press return to accept
this is a practice email.
And now to send the message, no need to go up to the toolbar, no need to go looking in the message menu or the file menu or anywhere else. We can just do Command Shift D to deliver a message, and I should have been using that terminology. Command Shift D will deliver a message.
In dialog, alert, cancel button, warning. This message has no subject. Are you sure you want to send it?
I do.
Send anyway, default button.
And send anyway is the default button. If I would have remembered that, I could have just pressed enter. But I'm here, so I'm going to press VO space
Inbox. Chanelle 82
And there you
messages.
go.
9.
And you didn't get to hear the message sound. Sorry, because my do not disturb is on. And
Loopback.
that's all
Loop
there
on.
is to
Switch.
sending a message. You do Command N to compose the message. Then you do you fill in the fields, tab to each field, and then you do Command Shift D when you are ready to send it or deliver it. And now, if anyone has questions on this little demo or on any other topic, I will entertain them.
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri.
Well, thank you so much. I learned a lot there. So the command, I've never used it. So the command semicolon is a spell check.
Yep.
And so when you do that, is it spell checking the whole document, or I wasn't quite sure is that a spell check word by word, or?
It goes through one error at a time. It's the feature, and it's in the menu bar. It's called Check Document Now. And I like it as opposed to the traditional spelling and grammar check because you can go at your own pace. You can review. You can skip over errors. You can go command semicolon goes to the next error. You can, use your VO keys to hear the word in context, like VOS to hear the sentence, VOW to hear the word. Whereas the other way of spell checking, you're only shown the word that's wrong. You're not actually shown the paragraph or the sentence around it. So, I like this method of spell checking, and then you get to use your context menu to find the suggested spellings. So, yep, command semicolon, then you land on a word. Then if you want to access the menu for suggestions, VO Shift M.
I'm sorry. So if you do command semicolon, does it jump to the next word that it thinks is spelled wrong?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
This is Charlene.
Yes, Charlene.
I'm wondering if anyone else has had this problem with spell check. Sometimes if I'm writing and wanting to spell check as I go, because it's a little bit easier because I can remember what I wrote, if it notifies me that misspelled word, and so I'll do a spell check. Once I do command semicolon and it tells me what it is, I'm on the word. If I do VO Shift M, for whatever reason, that context menu doesn't come up. So I actually have to Option Shift left arrow to select it so I can just delete it and retype it myself. Has anyone had a problem with sometimes that context menu doesn't come up? It only sometimes does it to me, and I don't know if it's something that I'm doing or if it's just a bug.
Anyone had that problem?
This is Brad.
Yes, Brad.
I think when you're using the semicolon method, when it lands on a word that it believes is misspelled, that word is already highlighted for you. That's
right,
why
but
when
she's
you
saying
go
the
through it
menu
manually,
doesn't come
you're
up.
having to manually, because I don't use that one. I don't know what I did. I've had mine set up for so long. As I go through, if it sees a word that's misspelled, it alerts me. And then I have to highlight the word and open the shortcut menu.
Oh.
So you highlight the word and then open the shortcut menu still works for, okay.
Well, I'm going to do what you said because I have a little bit of vision. And so I should be able to see if, as I go through the text of a message using semicolon, if when it lands on what it believes is a misspelled word, if it doesn't automatically highlight that word. I bet it does.
It should, right. But the only way to get it to actually bring up, I have found in the past, and I haven't, but the only way I found to actually get it to bring up a list of suggested words is to do command semicolon. Because, yeah, you can highlight a word and then do VO Shift M, but it's never brought up the list. But that'd be something interesting to try.
Mine does. Yeah, it brings up a list. So probably what it's doing is automatically opening the shortcut menu for you. Because that's what mine does.
Huh?
I mean, when I do VO Shift M, it opens the shortcut menu, and that's what's at the top of the menu is the suggestions. And if I arrow down far enough, I get past them and I get to, ignore once, ignore always, learn spelling, things like that.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying sometimes that context menu won't come up, and I don't know what it is. How it sometimes comes, and other times I can't get it to pull up.
Yeah, I've had that. And so now I just went and typed a misspelling in a text edit document. And then I did VO shift left arrow to select the word, and it did not bring up that menu.
You have to
You can
do VO Shift M after you highlight the word.
I did.
Okay.
So
Because
you
I
may
use it in
have
text edit too.
autocorrect on, Brad, I'm wondering.
No, I absolutely turned that off because it has a mind of its own and it corrects things that I don't want corrected.
Well, this time it did it. So this time, I was able to, I think I made sure that I did not select the space. I only selected the word practicing.
Correct, just the word.
So I guess that's another way of doing it. But if you don't want, if you were just trying to go through that document in a hurry and you don't want to wait to hear it say command semicolon will, and I've sometimes had it where I think when I was doing the demo for class, Charlene, mine was having a problem where the words weren't coming up at the top of the menu. So sometimes it can help to restart VoiceOver and then turn it back on. Herbie, you've been quiet over there. Have you had any experience where when you do command semicolon and then VO shift M, it doesn't bring up the menu? Or has anybody else had any experience with that?
I have that frequently happen.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And what is your workaround?
Playing with it.
Okay.
Sometimes turning off VoiceOver and resetting it will solve the problem. Sometimes just going back to the top of the file and reselecting stuff will fix it. I've never found a perfect solution.
Brad was saying you can actually select the word and the menu comes up. If you do there's no need if you actually just select only the text of the word and then you do VO shift M, the spelling suggestions will come up automatically without you needing to do.
Hey, Chanelle?
Yes, Pete?
All right, I'm in a draft email.
Sure.
So, now it says I tried something and it said I have to interact with the text first. So I've done that. But now you're just saying if I do command semicolon, right? It says check document now.
If it says that, then it's not. Then you didn't make any errors.
Oh wow, I'm good. I guess.
You're lucky.
I was deliberately making an error there just to demonstrate,
gotcha.
But yeah.
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri.
So when you do the command semicolon, do you know if the cursor is on the end or is it at the beginning?
Oh.
Good question.
Good question. I will have to, let's see here.
Why was it C? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. It is, it selected the whole word. So when I pressed right arrow, it said unselected, and then it took me to the end of the word.
That's what I thought. It's selecting the whole word. That's why.
It's selecting the whole word, yeah.
I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was that said it. She's not having to select the word because it's already or you're not having to select it because it's already selected.
Right.
I have to select mine, and I don't know what I did to set mine. If I type a word and it's wrong, it'll say misspelled.
Yeah. VoiceOver
that's
should
not
do that.
autocorrect. That I got turned off.
Right.
But it says misspelled. Or if as I'm reading through, even line by line, it'll get to a word and it will say the word, and then it's misspelled.
Command semicolon, right.
Go to it, yeah.
Command semicolon just eliminates the need to select the word. That's all it does then. And it takes you through, each error until it finally says check document now when there's no errors. So that's all the command semicolon does is select the word then, apparently. Yeah, go ahead, Shri.
So when you did the VO right arrow, it took the highlight word away, right?
I just pressed right arrow. It took me to the end of the word.
So it took you to the end of the word.
And then it said unselected. So yeah, it took the highlight away.
It'll have your cursor at the beginning
of the word.
Got it. Okay.
Yep.
Right, it works the same way in text edit and probably
that's where
pages.
I was at right now. I was just
probably pages too.
Yep.
Not
Word has its own spell
Word.
checker.
Correct.
But you can review each error in Word kind of the same way. I figured out the shortcut. Option F7.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So.
This is Shri.
Yes, Shri.
Sorry. Do you know if like my daughter uses Grammarly to check her grammar? Is there anything that Apple offers? Because I tried to use Grammarly, but VoiceOver didn't seem to work well with it.
It doesn't work very well. I tried it.
So is there
a built-in grammar
substitution
checker
for it?
Its grammar check is not very good, but
no.
I don't know if there's a good. Has anybody ever heard of an accessible alternative to Grammarly?
This is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
The closest thing I know of, and this is extremely, extremely painful to say it, Microsoft Word.
Yeah, I was going to say same thing. It's got a good grammar checker.
I think you survived. I know that was hard. It almost killed you, but I think you survived saying that. Anyway.
I don't know. It seemed like he was going to pass out.
Yeah, I have to give him a hard time.
I will be nice to Windows when it deserves it, and it does. That's not all the time, but Word on the Mac actually does have a very good grammar check, and it is a lot more complete than the Mac built-in one for the Mac. So,
yeah. All right. So, do we have any other questions? I know we've kind of gone on this topic for a while, but anyone else have a question? Or do you want to talk about anything you've done? Oh, go ahead, Herbie.
Well, I mean, I hope for everybody's sake everybody else has questions, because I have an Amadeus Pro related question.
Oh, well, you might have some people to help out.
Here's what I'm dealing with Amadeus Pro. So some of the things I do with it involve like the audio effects unit, like specifically with the reverb. And I'm running into an issue where I'll preview something with the reverb. And this is an issue, by the way, that's happened since reformatting the Mac. I had no problems before. Well, actually, I had the same problem before, but it was in reverse, so I could live with it. So I'll preview something, and then when I actually go to add the effect, it completely is not what I previewed. So something tells me that there's some kind of... And it can, instead it just has a mind of its own and it will distort what I'm doing. So has anybody played with the third-party effects with Amadeus Pro under the audio units? And I saw something about something to install. I was looking at the Amadeus Pro website. I'm a little bit unclear even if I need to install those or how to do that, because you get a DMG file, which is fine, but then there's components in there that don't immediately identify with any applications. And I've only just just started looking at this because there's been so many little things I've been setting up on my computer. So
this is Shri.
Yep.
The only thing I can tell you is when I did that on my Mac Studio for the first time, I actually had to have like a sighted person kind of tell me what they're seeing during that with Amadeus Pro. Because I couldn't quite follow the steps, and some of them didn't make sense to me. So
doing what?
I actually used what's that?
Doing what? Loading third-party effects?
Yeah. So I got a message that I had to go through some process, and like I said, I kind of gave up. So I just had Apple Accessibility do a screen share with me, and they kind of walked me through the installation process.
So you've loaded third-party audio units, so you're not using the standard Apple reverb and effects, you mean? I thought that's what you said, Herbie, that you were doing.
So there is a reverb in there, but when I try to use it on Amadeus Pro, it will preview one way and act another way when I actually apply the effect.
I heard that. Then I thought I heard you say you tried to load in some...
I was wondering if maybe that was my problem, if I needed to load extra things, so that was my...
I've never had a problem... I'm sorry, I keep butting in,
Nope,
Chanelle. I've never had a problem where the preview was different from the final effect when you hit the return on it. So I have not experienced that. I don't like a lot of the effects, the built-in Apple effects, but I have not had any success like you guys apparently in loading a third-party set. So don't think no, if I preview it and then select it, finalize it, it does not change. I've never had that problem. Of course, I'm not on Sonoma yet. I don't know if that helps or hurts.
Right. This has been something like, and maybe the fact that I started with Amadeus Pro in an earlier Mac version had something to do with it, but it's now these just weird issues crop up since the reformat that I never experienced before. So,
This is true.
yep.
When you say preview, what do you mean?
So when you add an effect to something, so like I do for karaoke, there's this. I don't like the built-in echo effect that Amadeus Pro has. I like the reverb. Like there's a reverb too under the audio units that I like to use. And with that reverb, you can adjust a lot of the variables, such as how much echo there is and how much delay there is in the echo, stuff like that. And so I want to preview what it's going to sound like before you actually finalize the effect. So there is a preview button that lets you hear what you're about to do so you can make changes before you actually say, yes, this is what I want.
So that's when, I'm sorry, this is straight. So that's when you select the option, and I'm trying to figure out like what you're doing. So when you select the reverb, you have this little tool that tells you how you want the level or something. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so the first part is there's all the different sliders, so you can, and then there's a preview option, and then there's an apply option.
Got it. Okay, now I understand. Thank you.
But also, if I could interject, it's not only, the preview's not only available when you customize and make your own slide and pick your own factors and specs. There's also presets in the reverb, like you were talking, Herbie. There's a plate. There's a small room 2, mid-size room, cathedral 2. They're all presets, and you can select those, but you can also preview those. There's a preview button for anything you choose, but there are quite a few presets, and they go in increasing degree of reverb or echo. I don't think there's any presets on the echo, but there are on the reverb for sure.
And just so you know, Pete, you are a little quiet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
But yeah, the preview is a great option when you're doing things. And it's not just Amadeus Pro that has it. There's definitely plenty of other programs, so it's not something unique to Amadeus Pro. Goldwave on the Windows side, for instance, that has a preview option when you're adding like different effects, but it lets you hear what you're about to do to something before you finalize it. Now, of course, you can finalize it and then Command Z if you don't like it to undo, but
right.
So
Sri, if you're wanting to apply a reverb to a particular word, you'll select the word with your markers, right? And then you'll go into the effects menu and you'll arrow down to the audio units. One of those selections is the reverb. There's a whole mess of them, but if you select reverb, then you can go through a bunch of preset reverbs, which give you predetermined, already the specs are set. You don't have to go through those sliders and select, delays or attacks or any of that. They're already preset, and you can just select a preset option that Apple has already set up for you. But then there's a preview that you can just press, and it will play the word as if the effect is applied, and then you can either choose it or move on and do another one.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, that's annoying. The preview isn't match, or the final thing doesn't match the preview. That's
that would
frustrating.
Be annoying,
It just a little bit.
I would love to learn how to load in some third-party audio units, because there's got to be a lot better ones than the Apple native ones.
There's a file you can download from the actual website, and like I said, it's a DMG file. There's 4 different things in there. There's 2 readmes, which I haven't read them yet. And then there's actual 2 different program things, but they need some kind of app association, so I've not looked at the readmes to see what they say.
Okay.
But yeah.
Now, wasn't there a command that your talk about previews just kind of reminded me? Isn't there a command that you can do, like let's say I'm about to splice something out of a recording. Isn't there a command, a preview? The letter
the E key.
Okay. E is an echo?
Previews before you delete a section or something like that, right?
Right. Okay.
You can play it up to the first 2 seconds before the cut and 2 seconds after the cut.
And you said that's E as in elephant,
E
or
as in elephant, correct.
yeah, sorry, my device was starting to go off, so I just wanted to put in a different word there. Okay, I'll do that. All right, awesome. Well, I'm sorry, Herbie, we don't know. That's another unresolved. Lots of unresolved Mac queries
I told
tonight.
you these would be the complicated questions, so come on, guys, you need to ask the simpler ones now. So.
All right, so do we have another question?
This is Shree.
Yes, Shree?
I would like to ask more about the Amadeus, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Obviously I use the E also, but is there any of the keys that are important to know in that row when you're using Amadeus?
Any other important Amadeus shortcuts to use? I know, well, one I make use of quite a bit is like the letter P to mark a position.
Mm-hmm.
And so then sometimes then I'll go, like if I'm somewhere where if I want to select between that marked position and my cursor,
This is Herbie.
Yeah, go ahead, Herbie.
So it's not an individual key, but one of my keys that I actually do use. One of the cool little features about Amadeus Pro is if you do a Command I, you can look at things such as the file attributes. But another important thing is you can adjust the metadata. And you're asking, Herb, why would I need to adjust the metadata? One, let's say if you're streaming, you could actually have a file that you want to have properly displays in the stream, like title, artist, things like that. And so you can just adjust that and hit save, and it'll do that. And also, metadata is what the music app reads. So if you're importing something into that app and you want to make sure it actually reads the file, you might want to put it through Amadeus Pro first and check the metadata to see what is going to be displayed and make any necessary changes before you import it. So,
I'm sorry, this is Shree. I kind of lost you there. So what is it doing with the metadata?
You can adjust the metadata of a file.
Edit it.
Edit it. So let's say you've got a music file that you downloaded from YouTube that you want imported in your music app. You could run it through Amadeus Pro first and make sure that it displays correctly how you want it with the title and artist. And then the music app will read it correctly when you import it in there.
I have a related question, Herbie.
Yep.
Say I've saved and named a file in Amadeus Pro. So I've recorded this and I'm naming it.
Yep.
Whatever. ABC1. And I want to change the name, but I don't want to do a save as and create a whole new file.
Right.
Will Command I or is there a similar way? No way to rename
No.
it?
It's different.
That'll adjust the metadata. So the metadata is what internal things see.
Right.
But if you want to physically change the name of the file, you're better off just going into Finder, getting to the file and hitting enter and changing the name that way rather than doing it through Amadeus.
Or your context menu.
But that won't change the name of the file in the metadata.
Right.
And I think Shree had a follow-up or a question.
No. I was just so when you say the metadata, are you just saying like the title of the song, or
title, artist, year,
album?
There's a whole bunch.
Track
Do
number,
Command I and look for
stuff.
the metadata tab, and you'll see on a file. Load a file in Amadeus Pro, and if you do Command I.
Or go into your music library and see all the different titles or headings that are attached to your song.
This is Desi.
Yes, Desi.
Okay, so I know everyone always says there are no dumb questions, right? But so why do they call it metadata, and what does that mean?
Oh no.
I don't know. I just know it's what it reads. It's supposed to just display. It can display a lot more information about something than what is seen on the surface.
what is
And
contained in the title. So the title might just be a
right,
nondescript name, but it sounds like the
For
metadata, you can put the artist, the album, the year, the
yeah,
exactly.
this is Brad. For example,
genre.
if you're in the music app and you're in an album, it'll tell you things like genre, pop, year, 1983, album name, all that stuff. And you could actually edit that stuff. Well, I did it in iTunes. I haven't done it since it's the music app, but I'm sure it's still there.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Yes.
all that stuff.
And so
Like if
all
That's
you're
the
that
ripping a
stuff is the
metadata.
CD,
metadata?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's just data within a file
Yep.
Okay.
about
This
the
is Shrey.
file.
Yep.
Yes,
I
Shree.
think in the computer world, metadata is like taking what information you have and being able to manipulate that data to get some other output. But if you're running some type of a database, let's just say you have a bunch of information about the song, let's say a bunch of songs, and you're taking the metadata and then manipulating all that information to do whatever kind of database lookup you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, it's easier to search for in a database or to include in a database or whatever.
Mhm.
Easier to
hashtags.
categorize your songs, maybe.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You might see composer, you might see artist, you might see um,
Genre stuff.
genre, right?
Even the length. I mean, I go into Amadeus when I'm recording, and we've discovered my files need to be under 10 minutes in length. So I do that Command I to make sure the time is under 10 minutes.
So this is Herbie.
Yes, Herbie.
Another way you can see the time of your file is just from your insertion point, do a Command G.
Yeah, you can do that too. You can
Yep.
also, so actually, the info dialog in the Finder will display a lot of that info as well.
Yep. And Command Y, of course, is vital for setting your insertion point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yep. Command Shift Y sets the other one.
Yeah, and brings the playhead to the insertion point.
Yeah.
Yep.
One's vice versa. But another one is a Command Option P, as in Peter.
Oh.
And that identifies the highest point in the file in terms of volume. And
Oh.
that's very, very handy when you're trying to normalize the sound of an overall file.
So how do you do, like, because I've always just gone to the normalize and then the default is 1 dB, but then if you add things and then normalize each thing, they're not, I don't know.
They don't line
Yeah,
up.
They won't,
normalization is confounding as heck. You're right.
they
But
won't,
generally, if you just go into the FX menu and go down to normalize, select the whole file first, and then go
right.
down to normalize and hit enter. Then it will normalize the whole file as a unit. But normalization is a process of trying to level off. Ultimately, you want to level off those higher points and bring them down, um, or identify them so you can bring them down. And then when you normalize the file, it will sound louder. But when you do Command Option P, you identify the high points. And what I'll do is go through a file and I'll do Command Option P 2 or 3 times and identify the highest points, 2 or 3 points in the file. And then I'll apply negative dB and it brings those points down. So then I'll normalize the entire file and it will elevate the overall volume of that file and it will make it sound a lot more level and a
Okay.
lot louder. I do that a lot
How
on
do you
demo.
negative the dB? You go into,
You go into the effects menu down to amplify, and then you can insert your factor, and then you just put a minus 1, -2, -5, or
okay.
whatever, and it will reduce whatever selection you have imposed by that number of decibels.
Does it do it in point, like 0.5, or does it just do it in whole
Yeah,
units?
you can do it up in point zero one, point
Oh
zero
my.
zero
All right.
one. Yeah,
Wow.
it's a very, very fine.
Yeah, I'm discovering I really shouldn't normalize because I sometimes things sound quiet, so then I'll normalize it
Hmm.
right away, but then I'm going through and if I have to make edits because whatever, and then that messes up the normalization. So
Exactly.
I know
Yeah.
it's better to wait until the end and
Yeah.
normalize it. But
And then
yeah.
you can, then I would first look for your high points. And
Mhm.
I would do that Command Option P and then apply a negative. Usually I do a -2 or 2.5 dB. I'll
Okay.
select like a half a second before and after whatever the high point is when you do the Command Option P and it lands on the second syllable of a word. I'll
Mhm.
often go to the whole word and then I'll apply a -2 decibels to the whole word. That way,
Okay.
because it's usually high and to either side of it.
Right.
And then when you've done that 2 or 3 times, you know you've at least brought some of those high points down, and then you normalize the entire file, and it will
Okay.
elevate it nicely, and it'll be a lot more uniform.
Oh, all right. That's good to know.
And there's two types of normalization available in Amadeus Pro. I forget the names of them, but they work differently.
Mm.
Jonathan Mosen taught in his book, the Amadeus Pro Maestro, the one I forget what it's called. I don't want to look for it, but yeah, I use the first one that's available, and it's basically just identifies the high points, and it brings the rest of the file up to those high points. But what it does is brings the entire file up to whatever factor you've set. You should set a factor to which you want to normalize your file, and normally that's right below 0 dB. Once you get to 0 and above, then your audio will start clipping. It'll be distorted, kind of
Oh,
like
because it
over
always says
modulated.
one or normal. One is the default thing,
Yeah,
or
it's point zero, -0.001 or 0.1 is your default.
oh, it just doesn't read the point. Okay.
Yeah, I think yeah, if you go in and do it by characters, you'll see there's a point there, which is
Okay.
just below 0. Once you hit 0 and go louder, then you're starting to clip, and
Okay.
that's the distortion. So that's the safeguard, the point -0.01.
Now, if I could just figure out, I lately I've just really been obsessing because I hear all the time there's clicks in my voice, and Herbie says don't worry about that, but especially, oh, I just,
Mm-hmm.
anyway,
Well,
yeah,
you can go in if you can hear them, you can go in and delete them.
yeah,
Have you figured out how to use the ASDF keys for editing?
no,
Maybe if I could figure out how to teach that, I think Sri, you and I've talked about that. You know, those ASDF keys.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to fine tune your editing. So if there's
oh,
like a split second in between words
yes,
that you want to edit, you know,
mm-hmm,
write that pause, and
yeah,
it's hard. Like Sri was just setting his P marker, I think, and then letting the playhead, you know, hitting the space bar, and
mm-hmm,
kind of poking and hoping that he stops it at the right spot. Well, the ASDF key allows you to adjust that selection right or left as
huh,
finely as you want to. It's a really fine-tuned editing
oh.
process. That's why Amadeus Pro is so intuitive. Once you learn how to do it,
So what
it's
is AS like? What
A
is?
and S allow you to adjust the left-hand marker to earlier or later. A
Okay.
A moves your marker when you set your P marker. The
Mm-hmm.
A key, depending on your zoom factor, you've seen the zoom percentage. It's in your,
Yeah, that's a little bit confusing.
yeah,
Okay, it
yeah,
sounds
it
like
is.
somebody needs to go look, me needs to look at a tutorial, but I've just kind of learned from Herbie and
I've
yeah.
got, don't let everybody else cover your ears. I've got a book that has chapters, and I think that is in one of the chapters. I could probably send it to you as an MP3.
Okay.
It's Mary Ellen Earls, and this
Yeah,
is
Mary Ellen.
on this subject and something I have been wanting to ask. Are there any accessible courses or tutorials for this kind of? I've always been interested in producing sound, and I do have Jonathan's book on Maestro, but you know, I hear about Audio Hijack, I hear about other recording software, are there other tutorials that are, made for the blind and visually impaired? And if so, where? Because I don't even know where to look for them.
Well, the Maestro that Jonathan did is specifically a tutorial for Amadeus Pro, which is the program, the app itself that we're talking about. It's a specific Apple program, and it's only available for the Mac. But it's dynamite. If you listen to that, if you buy Amadeus Pro and set down to learn how to do it well, in addition to Audio Hijack, which is also a wonderful app, but Amadeus Pro would be the first thing that I would I would suggest that you learn.
This is
And
Brad. Just to
and that
clarify,
book. Mm-hmm.
Pete,
Go
you
ahead, Brad.
said it's Apple Pro. It's not made by Apple.
No,
It is a
right,
No, I
program
know that.
for the Mac. Okay,
right,
just
I
clarify.
specifically for the
I
Mac.
have it already on both of my Macs, and I have the book. But I was just wondering, where do I find this stuff?
This is Shri.
Yes, Sri.
Can I just give a plug then?
Go ahead.
Fine with me.
Pete has actually done a really good basic demo of using Amadeus Pro. That's where I kind of use as my learning tool too. He did create some tutorials at the Blind Abilities podcast.
Website.
Pete, you might be able to tell better than
Yeah, I
I can
actually
where to find
did.
it.
I did a series of I think it's either 8 or 10 episodes, maybe more, and it's called the Amadeus Pro tutorial series, and it's in the Blind Abilities, either at the Blind Abilities, www.blindabilities.com, or there's a Blind Abilities app in the iOS App Store.
Okay.
And you just search for Amadeus Pro, and you'll see the whole tutorial series. I did a second one after that, which was called The Process of Creating a Podcast, in which I also used Amadeus Pro, and I went through the step-by-step process that Jeff Thompson and I used to create a podcast, starting with the interview of a guest that we did on Skype at the time. It would also apply to Zoom. And that's how we interviewed our guests online. And then we would use Audio Hijack for certain things to capture the interview audio from from Skype or from Zoom. And then I go through the different processes involved in setting up the podcast and editing it and adding music to it and inserting sound effects and things along those lines. But
Okay, I'll look for that. I thank you very much.
But Mary Ellen, I can't stress enough how beneficial Jonathan Mosen's book is. He wrote it. Well, I bought it 10 years ago, 11 or 12 years ago. And if you just take it one chapter at a time, it's very intuitive, and he's a super instructor, as you know.
He's an excellent teacher, yes.
Yeah.
Wonder if the book is still available up there, or
if you look on whatever his website is, mosen.org.
okay.
Is that what it is?
Mosen.org.
Yeah. Amadeus Pro Maestro.
I got it a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And it hasn't changed. I don't think he's updated, but Amadeus Pro hasn't changed to speak of.
This is Desi.
Yes, Desi.
So are Amadeus Pro and Audio Hijack, do they do the same basic thing, or are they two different things?
No.
Audio Hijack is described, it hijacks any sound that comes out of your Mac. So you can set, and there are preset, what do they call them? Templates.
Blocks.
I think. Blocks. Yeah, there's audio blocks and there's templates.
Recording blocks.
Yeah, and you can record, you can go in and record a YouTube video. And it just captures the audio, or you can go in and record a demo on your Mac where you'll pick up voiceover and record it. And you can also record it in addition with your microphone. So I've done many a podcast like that where I've done demos on the Mac. All kinds of things. You can record internet radio stations. You can record a basic, stream.
Yep.
Right.
We use
Anything
it to stream.
Yeah. So that's what our Audio Hijack does. Amadeus Pro is a audio recorder and editor.
Okay.
So yeah, and I've hijacked your thing here.
That's okay.
I'm sorry.
It
really
always
sorry.
turns to audio inevitably. That's fine. And I'm actually starting to use some of the stuff more. So, I
Yeah, you
mean,
sound like you
yeah.
have been studying it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know my recordings are done just for a phone system. So Herbie says, I shouldn't I shouldn't stress because, they're going to the quality is going to be lowered anyway.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Anyway,
Well,
so I
Herbie's
don't,
definitely got a handle on it. So
yeah.
he's a good tutor.
I don't know. So what we're doing in terms of when iBug is taking off. So stay tuned to the email list, the announcements for when we will be having our next Mac and Talk. Thanks everyone for coming. It's been fun. We've still managed to talk about a range of topics, even though last little bit was devoted to audio. We had a good bit on email. We had a good bit on whatever else. So thanks everyone, and
Thank you.
we
It's
will
been
see you
so
around.
interesting. I've learned a ton of things tonight.
I
Thanks.
know, me too. Yep. All right. Thanks. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye.